my name is Donna, and I have been an early childhood educator for 35 plus years. I've worked with children and worked in teacher preparation, so I've kind of done the whole gamut there. So a few days ago, my son Jordan texted me and asked me did I know of any activities that they could do with their two daughters, my granddaughters Helen and Clara. Their mom's Devin, and I said, sure I do. So I thought, instead of texting him the long information that I would want to text him, why don't I make a video? Why not share it with everybody? Y'all are all in the same boat they're in, having to stay at home, having to work with children of different ages. And so I would like to start videoing some of these ideas with the help of my daughter, Faith, who is also an education major. And the important thing about these is they will be developmentally appropriate. There'll be things that children can actually do, and there'll be things that they'll interact. They'll build their social development, emotional development, cognitive development, physical development, and their creative development. Can't forget that one. So I hope you enjoyed the videos. Today we are going to do one of my favorite things, and that is making homemade Play-Doh. All right, homemade Play-Doh. Now this is a tried and true recipe. I promise if you will follow along, it will not fail. I have done this for years and years and years and years and years and taught many people to do it. So you can see the recipe, and I'm going to actually put it together as we talk a little bit about things. So you definitely want to get your children involved in this. You don't want to make the Play-Doh and then just have the Play-Doh for them, okay? They need to be involved in this process because developmental-wise, reading the recipe is literacy. There's many different ways you can enhance the literacy development. You've got an older child, write it in cursive. Write it in another language. Write it in Spanish. Do something to challenge them. You've got a younger child, include some environmental print. Anything that has logos that you can take off and include on the recipe instead of the word, that becomes environmental print, and the children actually are reading the context cues along with the words. They're starting with what they know, and that is enhancing their literacy development. So lots of different ways you can start to enhance that literacy development when you're reading a recipe. Just talking as you're doing the recipe is a big enhancement. You're going to use 1 cup of flour. You've got several children, give them jobs. Before you ever start doing this, when you have several children, give them each a job. Susie, you're going to put the flour in. Tommy, you're going to put the salt in. Either you tell them the job or they can choose the job. I have done this Play-Doh recipe with 20 plus children, and everybody had a different job and was completely happy at the end because they all had a part of making this Play-Doh. Whether it was pouring the ingredient into the measuring cup or it was actually then dumping the ingredient into the pan. For some reason they love the dumping part even more than they love the pouring part. So we did a cup of flour and a half a cup of salt. All right, the next thing on the list is cream of tartar. You want a little bit of science? Look up what cream of tartar is with your child. You'll be if you don't know already, you'll be very surprised that it's actually a product of the winemaking industry. And I probably should have opened this before I tried this, but here we go. Let's open this up. Great fine motor skills right there. And we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar. You probably have cream of tartar in your pantry from making meringue, and you can see, wow, I'm so accurate, but it's Play-Doh, okay? So 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar. That's gonna give it body, that's gonna let it hold together. You need that cream of tartar. Okay, and a tablespoon of oil. So let the child hold if you don't feel comfortable. Always remember, even when you're cooking, if you're going to really do this, probably hold this over something else if they're pouring so that it doesn't get spilled, and then let them dump it in. So the children are helping, the children have their jobs to do. Now what has to happen is we're gonna put a cup of water in, but what color? Wow, this could also be a science experiment. What if we did red and blue? What would that make? What if we did blue and yellow? What would that make? How are we going to decide? If I had a group of 20 children, we actually voted on the color. Since it's just me right now, we're doing green. We're gonna see what green Play-Doh looks like. But figure out a way, and the important thing is to think about it ahead of time. Don't wait till you get right here making the Play-Doh and oh my gosh, now you have to decide what color and it becomes chaotic because you've got 4 children, one wanting purple, one wanting green, one wanting red. If you do vote, there's one thing I want you to understand. The younger child has a hard time understanding that what they voted on isn't what's going to happen. If they chose yellow, they think it's going to be yellow, even if 3 other children chose the green. So understand that that's going to happen with the younger child. And they're just going to have to live through it to understand majority rules. Important lesson, right? That's a civics lesson. Didn't know you were going to be doing civics today, did you? All right, so we are going to actually now stir this up, and again, let's get some science into it. Make sure that they see how this looks stirred up. By the way, we talked a little bit about literacy. Let's not forget the math when you're doing cooking. If you cook a lot, you know that cooking is a lot of measurement, and measurement is math. You've got 4 children, let them each put 1/4 of a cup to make the cup. When you're doing that, make sure that when they put the 1/4 of the cup, they put the 1/4 of the cup into the 1 cup so that they'll understand 4/4 of a cup will make 1 cup that they put in. So be real intentional when you do this recipe. Think about all the different things this recipe can do. Literacy, math, social, it can do so much. So don't forget that as you're making the recipe, like I almost did when I was talking about it. So, by the way, I was also using, you can see this isn't just the regular food coloring you buy. This is actually food coloring you buy on the cake decorating aisle to color icing with. And wow, look at the color. You would never get that with the food coloring that comes a little cheaper, but it's still fine. They don't know. Probably the prettiest Play-Doh I ever made was using black food coloring from the cake decorating aisle, and then I put a little bit of iridescent dust in it. Don't use glitter. Glitter actually will hurt their eyes. It'll scratch their eyes, so don't use glitter. But that was probably the most beautiful that I've ever done. So put it around on medium heat. And this pan I'm using is old, but don't worry about your pan because it will come clean so easily. Just soak it for 2 minutes and you will never know that you made Play-Doh in it. Which, I mean, what is this? It's flour, salt, oil, cream of tartar. It's all stuff we eat. So even if a child eats it, it's gonna be okay. If it's on your pan, it's okay. It's not like there's anything in here that's not good for the child. All right, so I've been stirring about a minute and a half, and you can see how it's starting to come together. You can see how it's starting to kind of come off the bottom a little bit. So, you know, just make sure that you keep stirring. Make sure it's not gonna all come off the bottom. There's going to be some that sticks. Again, don't worry about it because it's going to come off your pan very easily. Don't leave it though. Always just keep stirring. It doesn't take long at all to do this. You actually can kind of pick it up and feel it with your hands, and I think it's about ready. See how it's just clumping up on the spoon like that? We're ready to go. We are literally going to take it over and dump it on the cabinet. It is hot, 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 but oh, it is so fun. And look what a gorgeous green color that is. So pretty. We're gonna start kneading it, and yes, it's too hot to give to the children, but I have to tell you, it is so nice. It is so relaxing to knead this nice warm Play-Doh. If I were stressed, I could just take this warm Play-Doh and walk around completely relaxing. So just knead it, and isn't it gorgeous? Color's not getting on my hands. My hands might be a little oily right now from the oil, but once it settles down, you know, once it kind of gets the newness off a little bit, you won't even notice that. So usually what I do when it's bearable to hold, I literally will take this, and however many children I have, I go give them little pieces of it because they are so interested in it. You know, they saw it when it was liquid. Now they're seeing it like this so that we watch the chemical reaction there. At school I had a fifth burner that I would use. At home, of course, you just use your stove, and the adult does that. Now the kids can help you knead, however many you have. If you have that many children, have fun. But let them just knead it. All right, let's talk a little bit about playing with the Play-Doh. Sometimes we want to just keep giving them utensils, cookie cutters, and things like that. Y'all, they just need to use their hands. Just kneading the dough, rolling the dough out. What great fine motor skills. For them to ever start writing, they've got to use their hands. They've got to have those fine motor skills, and clicking buttons all day doesn't give that to them. So let them roll it out just without any utensils at all. There's so many things you can do then. You can do links, who can roll their snake the longest, who can make the fattest, bringing math into it. Can they make the first letter of their name? So many things you can do. Probably the most fun that we have with it though, I made this last time I went up to my granddaughters. Clara and I made Play-Doh, and for the next 4 hours, and I am not exaggerating, we played restaurant. So we had our Play-Doh and we made tacos, we made spaghetti, we made everything anybody would ever want. We decided how much we were going to charge people. It was so much fun. We got literacy in, we got math in, we got that social interaction in, that role playing in. So just allow that creativity to just flow when you do this, all right? Sharing. All right, you really can't expect children to share very young. You're gonna have to encourage them. And one thing I find that I can do is I can come play and they want me to play. So they will sit down and they will give me Play-Doh. So if they're not sharing, I make sure that I share the Play-Doh. What you do, they will do then, and they see it. And then I make sure that when I share my Play-Doh, I really enjoy playing with the person that I shared it with. And so just model for them. Stop insisting and getting mad and just model for them. We know that 3, 4, and younger is going to have a very hard time sharing. Older children typically will, but sometimes not with siblings. So let them enjoy. This again is something a 2-year-old can do. If you think they're gonna eat it, number one, it's certainly not gonna hurt them. It is a lot of salt, but sit down and play with them if you think they're gonna eat it. Older children, I promise you, 12-year-olds, adults love to do this. I have student teachers, I have to make them get away from the Play-Doh table because they just wanna sit and play Play-Doh all day. All right, a couple of last words. There's one thing that's kind of one of my pet peeves, and that is when people add scent to Play-Doh. Do what you want to, but if you don't want them to eat the Play-Doh, why in the world would you make the Play-Doh smell like food? So, I say leave the Play-Doh a regular scent and let the food smell like food and let them eat the food that they're supposed to eat, so it doesn't confuse them. The last thing is about storage. I have stored mine in good old makeshift Tupperware. If you're more of a fancy person, go ahead and use that fancy Tupperware. It lasts just fine in this. Look, my lid doesn't even match. It's okay, it's gonna be wonderful. You don't even have to refrigerate it, just so it's in an airtight container. Now, one thing also to remember is dirty hands make dirty Play-Doh. So as they're starting to play with their Play-Doh, encourage them to go wash their hands before they play and wash their hands after they play. It will get a little nasty. Just make new Play-Doh. It's not very much trouble at all to make the Play-Doh, and they love it. So make new Play-Doh when it gets nasty. Does it stick to carpet? Sure. If you step on it and grind it into the carpet, it's gonna stick, you're gonna dry, you're gonna be able to get it right up. If you don't want them to get stuck on the carpet, don't play on the carpet. Play on the kitchen island, play on your table if you don't have carpet under it. So find somewhere that the children can play and that you can be happy to. Enjoy, have a wonderful time with your children, make some Play-Doh, let me know how it goes, and I will see you next time when we make a game on NonnieOs videos. Bye.